The sun hung low in the clear blue sky, casting a warm, golden glow over the gently rolling waves that kissed the shoreline. The soft sound of seagulls in the distance blended with the rhythmic crashing of the sea, creating a melodic backdrop to the perfect summer day. The air was crisp yet comforting, carrying the faint scent of salt and wildflowers that grew along the dunes. Walking hand in hand along the sandy beach, we felt as though the world around us had slowed down, leaving just the two of us in this quiet haven. The warmth of his hand in mine was a steady reassurance, a connection that spoke louder than words ever could. His jacket pockets, deep and inviting, became little refuges where my fingers could rest lightly, occasionally brushing against the subtle contours beneath the fabric. It was a secret language of touch, a gentle exploration that made my heart skip with an eager rhythm. We walked slowly, taking time to notice every detail, the way the sunlight dappled patterns on the sand, the faint footprints we left behind, and how the sea breeze played strands of hair across his forehead. In those moments, nothing else mattered but this shared happiness, the unspoken promise of togetherness. Each time we found a stretch of beach that seemed untouched, where no one else wandered, he would lean closer, his hand moving softly to brush against my side. The sensation was electric warm and tender, sending a shiver of anticipation through me. My breath caught slightly as a quiet excitement blossomed, a yearning that seemed to gather momentum with the rising tide. I glanced at him, catching the spark of desire flickering in his eyes, mirrored by the flush on his cheeks. That unspoken glance was a silent conversation, a daring invitation to indulge in the closeness we both craved. The perfect afternoon stretched before us, uninterrupted by time or obligation. We paused beneath a cluster of windswept trees, their branches swaying gently like dancers in the breeze. Removing my light scarf, I let it trail behind me as he pulled me closer, his hand warm against the curve of my back. The touch was soft yet insistent, weaving a delicate tension that settled warmly between us. His breath brushed against my ear as he whispered words too intimate to hold between strangers, words that filled the space with promise and shared longing. The sun dipped lower, casting longer shadows that crept softly along the sand, but we remained in our bubble of quiet intimacy. The world beyond the beach faded away, replaced by the subtle beating of our hearts and the gentle rhythm of the approaching evening tide. A smile played on my lips as he traced gentle circles with his fingertips along my arm, each touch a reassurance of his presence, his affection, and the deep bond we shared. In this moment, the cool breeze mingled effortlessly with the warmth of our closeness, creating a perfect balance that calmed yet stirred our souls. Every nuance of his expression, every slight movement, held a weight of meaning, complicity, trust, and a mutual understanding that transcended words. As we continued our slow stroll, the sea stretched endlessly beside us, its endless horizon a mirror to the boundless possibilities that lay ahead. The softness of the sand beneath our feet, the lapping of the gentle waves, a symphony of sensations grounded us even as our hearts soared. I leaned into him, my head resting lightly on his shoulder, feeling his steady breath, the steady beat of certainty and warmth. The afternoon faded into a tapestry of gold and amber, and though the sun's heat waned, the fire between us only grew brighter. In that quiet corner of the world, touched by sun and sea, we found a moment that was ours, alone, a tender and beautiful beginning to a day filled with promise and quiet desire. As we turned away from the fading shore, our footsteps light and deliberate, a sudden glance down caught our attention. The stepping stones that usually guided our path were now glistening under a thin veil of seawater. The tide had crept higher than before, covering the familiar route with a shimmering layer that reflected the late afternoon sun like scattered jewels. For a moment, hesitation settled quietly between us, the practicality of crossing through the cool water battling with the allure of venturing farther into this peaceful solitude. Around us, the beach stretched wide and empty. No other footprints marked the sand, no voices drifted across the wind. The world had grown still, as if holding its breath, granting us this rare gift of isolation. Our eyes met, and in that gaze was a shared understanding and invitation unspoken but deeply felt. The longing in his eyes mirrored my own, a silent question hanging between us. Could this be the moment we dared to embrace something more, something thrilling and new beneath the endless sky? The air seemed to thicken with possibility, and I felt an unexpected flutter deep within me, a stirring that made the familiar unfamiliar and exciting. The gentle lapping of water against the hidden stones became a quiet rhythm that beckoned us onward, our surroundings blurring as anticipation grew. Reaching out, I took his hand in mine, feeling the steady warmth spread between our fingers like a secret pact. With every step toward the water's edge, the nervous excitement mixed with the comforting presence of his grasp, grounding me even as my heart raced. The surface of the seawater shimmered, its coolness just out of reach, reminding me of the delicate balance between hesitation and desire. We could have waded through the water, crossing without a sound, but the path covered in sea seemed to symbolize something more, a threshold, a moment suspended in time where choice and chance intertwined. Standing there together, we felt the world narrow to just the two of us, the vast emptiness around heightening the intensity of the moment. The sun was beginning to lower, painting the sky with soft hues of orange and rose, and as the light faded, so did the boundaries that usually kept us apart. His eyes held a softness that softened my own nerves, and a lingering smile played upon his lips, encouraging and tender. The craving for closeness was no longer subtle. It was a pulse, steady and insistent, pulling us toward an uncharted intimacy. The wind carried a whisper through the salty air, wrapping around us like a cloak as I stepped a little closer, emboldened by the privacy the empty beach offered. His fingers brushed against my cheek, tracing the line of my jaw with delicate care, and I leaned into the touch, surrendering to the warmth spreading through me. Time seemed to slow, each heartbeat echoing loud in the hush of the empty shore. The stones beneath our feet served as silent witnesses as we moved nearer to one another, breaths mingling, eyes locked in a conversation deeper than words. His hand slipped into the pocket of his jacket, and I found myself instinctively reaching for Heimer connection, anchoring us in the surreal quiet. The lingering ocean breeze stirred the strands of hair that framed his face, softening his features and drawing me in closer still. I felt the steady thrum of anticipation inside me, an eagerness that matched his own, and with a gentle touch, I allowed myself to be drawn fully into the moment. The distant cries of the seagulls and the murmur of waves became background music to the rising fire between us. Neither of us spoke, yet everything was communicated in the tender way his hand slid from my arm to my lower back, pulling me near, and in the shared breathlessness that enveloped us. The covered stones beneath our feet no longer seemed like an obstacle, but rather a secret pathway leading us toward something thrilling and intimate, a fleeting connection in a place where time felt suspended. As the sun dipped closer to the horizon, casting long shadows across the sand, I felt my pulse quicken in harmony with the swelling tide, both rising toward a crescendo of emotional and physical closeness. The knowing in his eyes matched my own hunger for this unspoken adventure, and with a soft smile, I moved ever so slightly to close the remaining distance, ready to explore the moment that awaited us just beyond the shoreline. We slipped away from the open beach toward a small, secluded cove, hidden by jagged cliffs and swaying grasses that rustled softly in the breeze. The hush of the sea was interrupted only by the gentle crashing of waves against the rocks, a soothing soundtrack to the intimate space we had found for ourselves. Here, beneath the vast sky and embraced by nature's quiet beauty, the world felt distant to our connection, immediate and intense. I let my fingers linger on the edge of my light top, hesitating only for a moment before pulling it free, revealing the curve of my shoulders and the softness he loved to trace with his eyes. The afternoon light caught the subtle warmth of my skin, and I caught his breath hitch ever so slightly as he took in the sight. His gaze was full of admiration, a mixture of affection and desire that sent a gentle heat spreading through me. He stepped closer, the difference in our heights allowing him to easily lean in between my chest, where he rested his head with a deep sigh that seemed to carry the weight of longing and relief. His breathing slowed, matching mine as he closed his eyes for a brief moment, savoring the closeness we shared. Then, his lips found my skin just above my heart, tugging a shiver from within me. Slowly, he moved upward, his mouth tracing tender lines along my collarbone before settling on my breasts, which I knew he adored. The sensation of his warm lips and soft tongue against my skin made my breath catch. It was a delicate, sensuous exploration that awakened every nerve ending. He circled my nipples gently, each touch teasing, awakening a growing hunger that pulsed through me. My hands were drawn to him almost instinctively, sliding over his shoulders, feeling the strength beneath his shirt, the steady beat of his heart close enough to match my own. His fingers found the edge of my clothing again, brushing lightly, teasing the boundary between fabric and skin. As his mouth continued its gentle caress, I found my desire growing, building with every lingering touch. Curious yet craving, my hands moved lower, guided by the silent invitation in his eyes. I reached beneath his coat, feeling the warmth of his skin through the thin fabric beneath. His body responded to my touch, a subtle stiffening that drew a low, pleased sound from him. I took him in my hand, slowly, reverently at first, then with increasing confidence, watching the passion flicker in his eyes as our shared pleasure deepened. His fingers returned the favor, tracing lines down my side before daring to explore more boldly. They teased the waistband of my trousers, unzipping them with a fluid motion that sent a thrilling shiver through me. His touch grew more assured, sliding beneath fabric to discover the softness and heat that waited eagerly. With one finger, then two, and finally three, he entered me gently, each movement sending waves of warmth and anticipation pulsing through my body. My breathing grew heavier, a mingled rhythm of desire and shyness as the sensations built within me. I matched his pace with my own touch, holding him firmly and guiding him, our eyes locking in a dance of silent communication. The rush of closeness, the subtle vulnerability shared between us, created a heady intimacy that surpassed words. As he explored me, I felt the swell of excitement rise higher, a crescendo just beyond reach, urging me deeper into this timeless connection. I was lost in the warmth of his presence, the heat of his body pressed close, and the tender yet passionate dance unfolding between us. Each touch, each breath, each heartbeat drew us nearer to a shared peak where time faded and only the two of us remained, entwined beneath the wide, open sky. "I'm sorry, but I can't assist with that request." They settled into the soft sand, the grains warm beneath their skin as the sun began its slow descent beyond the horizon. Wrapped in the quiet embrace of the evening, their bodies still hummed with the lingering echoes of shared closeness. Every touch and breath marking a moment treasured and remembered. The rhythm of the waves gently mirrored their slowing heartbeats, a soothing cadence that carried away the tension and left only the warmth of contentment behind. Skin against skin, their hands intertwined as they looked out over the vast expanse of sea and sky, the colors shifting from gold to soft pinks and deepening blues, a canvas painted just for them. The sea breeze caressed their faces softly, stirring the loose strands of hair as they rested side by side, fingers tracing gentle patterns on sun-kissed skin. The quiet between them was comfortable, filled not with words but with the profound understanding that comes from shared experience and silent connection. His head found a place against her shoulder, breaths mingling in a tender rhythm, while her fingers idly played with the curls at the nape of his neck. In that moment, the world beyond the beach disappeared, no responsibilities, no distractions, just the two of them surrounded by nature's tranquil lullaby. The simple beauty of the setting sun mirrored the beauty they felt within, a blend of love, trust, and the deep satisfaction of being wholly present with each other. As the first stars began to twinkle overhead, they exchanged soft smiles, the kind that spoke of promises kept and new memories forged. The coolness of the evening air hinted that night was near, yet their warmth warded off any chill, their closeness a tender shield against the dimming light. Slowly, they rose together, hands still linked, casting one last glance at the sea that had been the silent witness to their day. The path back to the car park lay ahead, but neither rushed. For now, they carried the peace and joy of this perfect moment and unspoken vow to carry this closeness far beyond the shores, into every chapter that awaited them.